All right, folks, let's get into it. Halftime, December 2nd, 2018. Sportsbookreview.com, the closing line, halftime edition. We'll let some people filter in here, get these live links tweeted out, have some fun in the chat box for about 15 minutes. If we can review what is what going on here in the NFL right now. A lot of stuff to go over, as we said, and we'll let some people filter in. Let me just say hello to the chat box. All right, just watching this as we slowly trickle down the halftime. Cardinals and the Packers. I got it up on the red zone right now. That is 7-7, and also taking a look here, Atlanta up 10-7 on Baltimore in an ugly offensive game. On both sides of the ball, neither quarterback looks like they're doing too much in this football game. Obviously, with Atlanta Falcons. Let me see. That's not a fumble. It's a down. So about a minute and a half. We'll see if Lamar Jackson can mount a drive here. But 10-7 Atlanta in that game. Not a lot of scoring going on throughout most of the NFL in these games here, man. It looks like, Jacksonville 3-0. Tampa, which, I am on Carolina today, gifted 3 points already and then gifted another 7 the opposite way when they should have been scoring. Just going to try to see what happens in this Atlanta game since I am on Atlanta. It looks like about a 3rd and 1 with about a minute to go on their own 28-yard line for the for the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be a slow second half there. Donnie, why is Baker sucking so much? Well, I mean, look, he's facing a pretty good defense there on the road in a tough environment. I mean, rookie quarterbacks going on the road, they do tend to struggle. I'm not going to lie. So looks like a little bit of a dump off to Montgomery. So maybe the Falcons, I keep on saying Falcons, the Ravens can put some points on the board. See what else we have there. Denver 7-0. The Rams 13-3. So I assume they just scored. Looking at this Dolphins game, and it looks like Kenyon Drake is in. That'll make it 14-6. I thought the Buffalo Bills would be live in that football game. We'll see what happens in the second half. But I haven't seen much of that on the red zone or doing so. What's up? Hello to everybody in the chat box out there. Thank you, Tasha. Appreciate that. Yeah, Panthers are killing me, man. Panthers are killing me right now. They should be much better. They even got bailed out with a fumble on the goal line, and then they still can't do anything with it. You saw the way the game opened up right away. Tampa and Jameis Winston had a really good drive right down the field to take a 7-0 lead, and then Cam throws an awful interception to give them a 10-0 lead, and then you thought the game would possibly, slow down a little bit. Will Diggs, I think Diggs plays, but how effective is he going to be? That's the question. Packers out here 7-7, so it looks like maybe the Packers are setting up for a field goal. I don't know if they're in the red zone or not, or if it's the opposite way. Watching this Falcons game come down to the wire. Lamar Jackson with an hour to throw. Airmails went out of bounds, but looks like they're going to get bailed out with a penalty. But yes, the Packers were driving down there and sacks. So looks like that game's probably going to end up 10-7 at the half in that one. We'll wait till some of these lines come up and try to pick and choose, see what we got. Carolina is up at the half the line is up at the half, -4.5, 25.5. You would think that game probably would go over. They had some interesting turnovers there that didn't help in the points. The Lions are pathetic. The Lions are playing bad. I didn't know if they would be able to cover the full 10, but, I mean, we had some on the pregame show talking about, what do they really have to offer at this point, Not too much. But Houston dominating, Cleveland, so maybe the wheels are falling off there. I always thought Cleveland was a pretty good team to back at home, as we talked about earlier. Chris Harris broke his leg. That's not a good sign for if you're Denver backers. Looks like Baltimore's probably going to end. I mean, you got Justin Tucker, so you're going to end up with a field goal shot in the dome. Anything with 65 yards and in, he's going to make. So it looks like we're headed to possibly a 10-10 game out here. Just RPO with Newton and McCaffrey. Clearly, Newton can't throw the ball. That's what they did last week, Yeah, A-Rod. I mean, he doesn't have anything out there. A-Rod's got nobody on offense. So it looks like they are lining up. Is it a field goal? Or yeah, it looks like Mason Crosby coming out 19 seconds to go. They're laying 14 in that game or 13.5 at game time. Let's see what we got here. I'm just waiting for some of these more lines to pop up. Still seeing the 4.5. I think Carolina's getting the ball in the second half, so they should be better. But sometimes it just depends on what you get out of Cam Newton. Sometimes it's bad. Any undue like second half or first clock? I don't know. I'm waiting for some of these lines to come up. Looks like we're getting a little bit more. Now we have Indianapolis up -3, which that's an interesting one. They're down 3-0 at the half. Why don't you just take some points after a while, Frank Reich? I get you want to be aggressive and analytical, but why don't you just take some points against a struggling offense on the other side of the field? Usually works out a little bit better. And it looks like we got a first down for the Ravens at 35 seconds and called their second timeout. So they're driving down. Doing a wicked job, Donnie. Thanks for all the breakdowns. Thanks, man. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of fun here at the half, see what's what. New York Giants, Eli doing his best Eli, and Chase Daniel hasn't been much better at all, to be honest, but I guess when you just lean on that defense, I don't have those games up exactly to see what's going on. Miami, Buffalo, halfway to 40. Yeah, see that? It's crazy, isn't it? Two teams that technically shouldn't go over, but you hang a 40 spot up there and you sort of start scratching your head a little bit. Indianapolis -3, 21 is the over-under. One would think that would have 3 touchdowns in the second half. That's got to go over, right? Somebody's got to do something in that game. Yeah, Reich is always giving the game away. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like aggressive coaches, but sometimes when you're playing a team and you're on the road that doesn't really score that well, what's the point, man? Take the 3. You got a good field goal kicker. And it looks like the Ravens are out of timeouts, threw one short, about 25 seconds to go. Count this one. Looks like Houston lining up for another field goal as well. And that kick is good. 23-0. Lamar Jackson back to pass, scrambling around, 15 seconds, throws it away. It looks like a field goal is probably going to come out here on third down. I doubt they let Lamar Jackson throw the ball again here. Every week I wait for your breakdowns, Donnie. Always impressive. Thanks, Eric, man. Appreciate it. The NFL's pretty fun, man. You can really get some good feeds and try to think outside the box and some stuff here. Yeah, BMOC's in South Philadelphia. Was taking a look at some properties down there. So he is not on the channels today. He'll be back tomorrow. I think he's actually had a show tonight coming up on the channels to discuss the college football playoff. So that'll be fun to watch. Looks like 4 is now showing up in Indianapolis. I like the over 21. I think that's a pretty good play in that Indianapolis Jacks game. I'll write that down there. See if I can follow that one through the second half. All right. And they are letting Lamar Jackson have another play. Let's see. I mean, he can't. Is it a false start maybe or timeout? Flag? This is interesting. He had delay a game. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Anywhere 65 and then Tucker's knocking that down. So, that doesn't really matter. I'd be surprised if they don't just go out and kick this field goal now, make it 10-10 at the half. Not much going on in this game. Anybody watching an Atlanta game? It's my regional game in the area, and obviously I have a wager on it. But, boy, Lamar Jackson fumbled one, which went back for 6, fumbled one again around the 50 that he did get back. But Atlanta hasn't shown much on that. They can't catch anything. I mean, neither one of these teams making any offensive plays out here. Let's see what happens. Lamar Jackson's missed some wide open plays. You know, only interesting play maybe is the fake punt that worked, but then I believe, was strip sack fumbled back there. So, yeah. Let's see, 3rd and 7 with 12 seconds to go. Throws an out. It's caught out of bounds. Somehow, looks like he did get the first down, but I wonder how many more times you're going to play with that. Let's say, hey, Junior, what's good, man? Oakland coming up. I know you're ready for that game, right? Excited? Looks like they're showing a little Giants coverage here on a 3rd and 23 before the half. Well, Saquon doing his best, you know, Houdini out there. He's not going to get the first down, but that's a pretty impressive run. Tucker comes out for a field goal here. Let's see. Got a couple more games that are hitting the half. The Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams, 13-3. That opens up at the half, -4.5. Over under 24.5. You don't have much on offense, man. No, I do not live in Atlanta. I live in Philadelphia. We don't have, obviously, Eagles aren't on, so they got a couple games. Giants game and the Falcons game. Nice little doubleheader. That is good by Justin Tucker. And it is 10-10 at the half. About what you thought in that game, right? No, it's going to be a close one heading down the stretch. Cincinnati without A.J. Green with a backup. Yeah, it's brutal now. I mean, A.J. Green, it's one of those things where, you know, these injuries flare up. They do. Jameis Winston playing well, 12 of 16. He actually threw what looked to be an interception before the end of the half. And the very next play on a 3rd down was able to throw a touchdown pass. But, hey, I mean, you're going to live with that. You know, sometimes you just try to take the better football team and think they can stand up, and they're, you know, not doing so well out there. Let's see. Cincinnati lining up for a field goal in windy conditions. And that's good. 7-3. Exciting barn burner there in Cincinnati. But they are now inside the number at some outlets. So we'll see if that one finishes off. And we are almost all at halftime here. Arizona and Green Bay, 10-7 at the half. Line opens up -6.5 at Pinnacle. -7s, +110s at most spots for Green Bay. I wouldn't want to double down on that game because it looks like it's an atrocious game. And I'm not so sure of what Arizona actually brings to the table there. Houston, 23-0. That gets to the half. How about that? 23-0 ball game, and the line opens up -0.5 towards the Houston Texans. That should tell you how that game's going there. And I told you, I mean, I'll give Bill O'Brien a lot of slack, man. Maybe I have to stop giving them slack because it's going to be 9 straight. And if you look at their schedule, they might rip it off the rest of the way. Imagine starting 0-3, about to be 0-4, or at least 0-3-1. You get bailed out by the Indianapolis Colts, and then you run 13 straight wins off the end of the season. Could happen, man. Could happen. Yeah, Ravens 10, that's 20 points. That's a lot of points for this game because, I mean, there hasn't been much offense at all. That's a nice little drive that the Baltimore Ravens put together to even get points there. Baltimore's going to get the ball at the half in the Carolina game. I believe Carolina is going to get the ball at the half. Still waiting on some of these finishes to come up, and we'll get a nice round look at all these football games. 4 o'clock games, not a lot of movement out there. Still 14s across the board with Kansas City, and Eric Berry is inactive. That just came across the wire. I don't think we were expecting anything different there. Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady. That line is at 6s now at Chris, 5.5, 6 at Sportsbook. I think some people are looking into it, and rightfully so, because I would be really surprised if Xavier Rhodes, gives it a go, which he might, and is effective at all. And then the whole Stephon Diggs situation, which is, is there any guy has creeped up injuries during the week than this guy? Think about it. Crazy. Thunder, halftime line's the same as in-game lines, just different names. They said they're separate lines. Yeah, they're just for the whole half itself. They're separate lines completely. Buffalo now at the half looks like they're favored by a little bit, about a half point and 1 point. Minus is on there, over under in that football game. Let's find that here and get that up here. 20 in the second half. So you're right on that number. I know they weren't going to move that too much for a middle possibility. So looks like they're sticking it there if you want to basically buy out. Demetrius Reynolds-Donnie, I had a 16 teaser yesterday. All I needed was Pittsburgh. Plus 3.5 and Clemson covered by 32. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's tough, man. That was a tough game. In the rain, but that's what Clemson does. Clemson's a good football team. It's going to be good playoff. The first 2 games, that'll leave a lot to be desired. I think Clemson should handle Notre Dame, and then Alabama should handle Oklahoma. But, nice little rematch out there. It'd be nice if we had a top 8, though. It would be a lot of fun. All right, looks like Atlanta opens up second half -1 and over under 21.5. So, it's basically a pick 'em. So somebody has to win that football game is what they're basing that on. So we'll see what happens there. Let's see these 4 o'clock games. Seattle still at 10. Pittsburgh looks like it's still 3 pretty much across the board. But that's going to be an interesting one. I want to follow up, see if I want to get maybe a wager in on that Minnesota game once inactive reports come out, which they're going to be out in about 15 minutes. So right after we get off the air here, those are going to probably get out. The over-under still 20, actually 21.5 showing up at Chris, but I do like the over 21, which maybe Cody Kessler can get you something out there, you would think, Tampa Bay looks like they just got back underway with Carolina. We'll see if they have any comeback, because basically this will put their season to close if they don't win this football game. Yeah, Bama over under 78.5. I saw that. Man. Bama's going to have some resistance on defense. I think they're going to score. But you do have to worry about that Marquise Brown injury, because if he's injured, they don't have a shot. He's the one that's going to open every single thing up out there for them. Everything. You saw the offense went into a little bit of shell once he went down, and if he's not in there, he's a big play, stretch the field type guy. I don't think that's going to go over too well. All right, final game at the half there. Denver and Cincinnati over under 21.5. And it looks like Denver -0.5 second half. Would be roughly a pick 'em, which is about right, because they're going to protect themselves on the lines. They're not going to open that up to 6.5 or whatever it is. See Carolina on one thing showing Baker Mayfield 5 of 13 for 46 yards and 3 picks. Man, he was living on top of the world, wasn't he? Doesn't look like that's going too well at this point today. But hey, that's a pretty good football team he's going up against. All right, Cam Newton throws over the middle. Looks like they got a first down and up to about the 45. So that game's underway there. Final thoughts on some of these games. Buffalo, I don't really have I thought Buffalo would hang in that football game, so I wouldn't want to double down at the half. And the Giants, looks like they added a field goal at the end of the half. How far was that field goal? Or was there a penalty? I must have missed something there. 14-10 now at the half. And that's -0.5 for Chicago. I still think it's going to come down to the wire. I thought that 3.5 might be live and in play. I get an update on Carolina. Cam Newton, looks like he threw it out in the flat. And another first down for the Carolina Panthers. But big play, as we've seen some highlights there. Atlanta with that fumble recovery touchdown. That's going to be a tough one. It's going to be who makes that mistake first, which defense is going to give up there. Look at Ace Farmer down in Carolina. Can the Colts come back, Donnie? They should win that football game. Cody Kessler beats them when they're in a playoff race. I don't think that's going to bowl really well for them. Cincinnati pick them at the half. Some interesting ones. The Rams are -4 second half, and I actually agree with that. They're up 10 points, but I think they stretched that out. I don't think there's much reserve for. All right, and Cam Newton throws one up for grabs and is almost intercepted again. Boy, oh boy, Cam. Goodness. Francisco Pena, hey, Don, I appreciate what you do. Thanks, man. Man, we're hanging out a little bit here. Just showing some highlights here. That Giants. How about the Giants going out rate 7-0? Eli 7 of 17 with an interception. Chase Daniels 6 of 11, 61 yards and 2 picks. Ay. Phillip Lindsay having a good day so far. McCaffrey's having a good day. I don't know why they just don't keep feeding him. It seems to be that was the way they've put up a ton of offense over the past couple weeks. Looks like Carolina's on the 45-yard line now, 2nd and 10. McCaffrey in the backfield, 4 wide. That's your typical set. It also doesn't help. It looks like Carolina, that's a nice move there. Carolina picks up a first down and driving even more. 20, 15, cut back down to the 12. So it looks like Carolina's in business in this one. But Olsen going out in that football game, same thing like A.J. Green. Just can't fight those, man. When you're banged up with foot injuries like that, they can go at any time. Anytime. Majority of these games still at the half. Tennessee still up to 10. I got New England at that 6 right now. It's kind of interesting. And it's all going to, people are going to bet it differently if Xavier Rhodes plays. Sam Darnold is not playing, just like I told you. And Cam Newton takes a sack. But Sam Darnold, when they weren't going to say who's going to start a quarterback, was it any thought that they weren't going to put McCown in a quarterback? Come on, fellas. Come on. Yeah, Cam Newton has that weird wide up, full speed, fastball pitcher type stuff. Let's see. Not much movement out there. It looks like a 6 is now available in that Green Bay game. Green Bay's a mess, straight up. We'll see right here. We'll stay on. We'll complete this drive here for the Panthers before we get out of here. But not a lot to look forward to at those 4 o'clock games. They're interesting ones. And I think Seattle should be able to run away at that 10-point line. Sometimes teams are just better. Cam Newton releases one out in the flat. Looks like it'd be about 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. But it would have been nice in the first half. They should have this drive to end the first half. It was obviously when you saw it was 10-7. Cam Newton doesn't throw an interception and get a field goal. It's 10-10, and you're driving right now. So can the Birds win the division? No, they can't, underdog. They're not good enough because they're banged up. That's why. Yeah, Packers stink, Matty Adams. We got to get this out of our notion. Look, they still may cover in the second half, but this isn't just like, hey, man, Aaron Rodgers, team stinks, and they're done. 3rd down conversions, Carolina hasn't gotten one yet today, and this is where sometimes Cam gets himself. Same thing with Jameis Winston, gets himself in a little bit of trouble. Newton back to pass. He's under pressure. He rolls out. He's got plenty of time, man. What are you doing, Cam? And he throws touchdown, but it looks like it's going to come back. It looks like a flag was thrown and probably offensive pass interference on Funchess. Good job, Funchess. Come back in the game for one play and you get a holding call in Carolina. It gets better. Oh, man. It's A-Rod's birthday today, and he's playing like that? Come on, man. Yeah, we'll see what the Patriots come out to play, because I think the perfect defense to stop the Patriots is Minnesota, but not without Xavier Rhodes and not without Stephon Diggs on offense. It's a little bit of tough upper climb. Just watch this last meaningless play here coming up for the Carolina. I don't even know how it was holding if a guy runs out of the pocket that far. Donnie, am I delusional for hoping that the Brownies can make a comeback? I have Baker on daily fantasy. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's a tough defense to come back from. Maybe if you're playing like we're watching Tampa Bay or something like that, or the New York Giants or the Eagles defense for anything. Arthur Meade Jr., Donnie, did you block me? I don't know, maybe. And Cam Newton just throws one into the flat. So it looks like in windy conditions, Graham Gano is going to come out and try a field goal here. And that was the halftime show, and it's just about to get started right now. I'm going to sit on that over 21 in that Indianapolis-Jacksonville game. We'll see how that figures out. But there is a show tonight. College football, folks, please feel free to tune in, sportsbookreview.com. Support the live shows here on the channel, and they'll go over and break down, those first 4 games, or final 4 games, I should say, at this point, and see what happens. So thanks for tuning in, folks. I'm going to dip out here, watch a little bit of football as the day goes on. Hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions, but thanks for tuning in. Sportsbookreview.com, the closing line edition, halftime.